Greetings, God's chosen one. If you've made it this far, it's no coincidence. Nothing in the lives of the chosen happens by chance. You're hearing these words because there's a restlessness within you, a silent call that insists on reminding you, you're not ordinary. You were separated, shaped, and yes, rejected. But not as protection, but as preparation. All who bear the seal of divine choice face the same pain, the pain of the broken. Perhaps you've felt it in your family, where your way of thinking isn't understood. Perhaps among friends, where your energy sparks envy or resistance. Perhaps even in relationships where you've given of yourself but haven't been recognized. And this wound seems to scream, why me? Today, I want you to understand a profound truth. Exclusion isn't proof that you're small. It's a sign that you're too big to fit the expectations of those who haven't been called to the same level. Rejection is a spiritual mystery. To human eyes, it seems like injustice. But in the eyes of the divine source, it's strategy. When the world closes doors, it's because there's a greater purpose waiting. When people turn their backs, it's because the path you need to follow couldn't be walked alongside them. Gold only becomes gold after passing through fire. Diamonds only shine after being pressed. And the chosen ones only discover their strength after facing the weight of the excluded person. Listen carefully. You weren't rejected for being less. You were rejected because you are more, deeper, more sensitive, more connected, and that bothers. Your energy reveals shadows that many don't want to see in themselves. Your light exposes hidden darkness. Therefore, the favela isn't about you. It's about what your presence awakens in others. But know this. What men reject, the divine source chooses. What the world despises, God raises. You are living proof of this. This video won't be just words. It will be a journey. In the next few hours, you will learn to transform rejection into energy. Use solitude as a meeting place with our divine source. Discover how betrayals were actually shortcuts to your purpose. Find perseverance when everyone says you can't do it. Reframe pain into gratitude. And finally, be reborn in hope, living as you've always been, a chosen one. Before we move on, do something simple. Close your eyes for a few seconds. Take 3 deep breaths. Remember the most painful part of your life. Don't try to run away from it. Just allow the memory to visit. Now silently, repeat to yourself. This rejection didn't destroy me. It prepared me. I am God's chosen one. Feel how your energy shifts as you declare this. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to hear could forever change the way you face exclusion. You'll discover that the weight you carry today is actually proof that you were chosen for something greater. The journey begins now. There is a pain that cuts deeper than any physical wound. It's not the pain of material loss, nor even the pain of voluntary loneliness. It's the pain of being rejected by those we love most. Parents who didn't believe in us, siblings who mocked our dreams, friends who betrayed us, colleagues who ridiculed us, partners who abandoned us. This is the silent pain that many carry, but few have the courage to speak. For the chosen, this experience is not rare. In fact, it's almost always inevitable, because those with a greater calling cannot remain complacent in the same space as those who weren't called. That's why, often, life itself takes care of separating us. And this separation, though painful, is part of the plan. Imagine trusting someone deeply, opening your heart, sharing your dreams and most intimate secrets, and suddenly being betrayed. Broken trust doesn't just hurt, it shakes the very fabric of the soul. The question arises, why? What did I do wrong? The truth is, you haven't done anything wrong. Your difference is what bothers. Your faith is what challenges. Your energy is what reveals. And for many, this is unbearable. Rejection doesn't happen because you're weak, but because your strength awakens insecurity in others. Often, those we love most can't bear to see in us what they haven't found within themselves. Let me reveal something. Rejection is always permitted by the divine source. There is no betrayal that escapes God's gaze. There is no abandonment that He hasn't foreseen. If someone left your life, it's because they didn't have the capacity to remain in the destiny that awaits you. They could walk with you in small steps, but they weren't prepared for the grandeur of your journey. Is it painful? Yes, but it's also liberating. Because when doors close, God opens paths that only the chosen can walk. Look back at your own story. How many times has a rejection hurt so much that it seemed impossible to move forward? And yet, you survived. Still, you rose. This proves that rejection isn't the end. It's a sign that within you lies a strength you yourself never knew existed. Every tear watered the seed of your transformation. Every abandonment was, in fact, a push toward your purpose. Think of Joseph, Jacob's son, rejected by his own brothers, sold into slavery, forgotten in an unjust prison. To human eyes, he seemed defeated, but in God's eyes, he was being trained to rule. Without his brother's rejection, Joseph would never have reached the palace. The same is true for you. Every betrayal is an invisible step. Every rejection is part of the ladder that takes you higher. Now, I want you to pause. Close your eyes and recall a specific rejection that marked you. It could have been recent or from many years ago. Feel that memory. Acknowledge the pain, but don't reject it. Now ask yourself, what did this experience teach me? Who did I become afterward? Write this answer in a notebook. You'll realize that the pain that felt like a curse actually transformed you into someone stronger, more aware, more resilient. Rejection almost always opens the door to loneliness. And for many, loneliness is seen as punishment, as abandonment, as emptiness. But for the chosen ones, solitude is not a curse. It is a tool, a refuge, a laboratory of the soul. How many times have you asked yourself, why do I feel so different? Why does it feel like I don't belong anywhere? This feeling is not a coincidence. It is a sign that you have been separated. And separation, though painful, is necessary. Because in a crowd it is easy to get lost. But in solitude, it is possible to find yourself. In the noise of the world, it is almost impossible to hear the voice of the divine source. The din of opinions, social pressures, family expectations, all of these drown out the whisper of the Spirit. This is why the elect are led, often by force, to places of silence, places where nothing remains but themselves and God. And in this silence, something extraordinary happens. You begin to hear not just with your ears, but with your soul. Emptiness transforms into presence. The absence of people reveals the presence of the eternal. What seemed like abandonment was actually an encounter. The wise Moses was led into the desert. Jesus spent 40 days in solitude before beginning his ministry. The greatest men and women of purpose have lived through periods of profound isolation. Why? Because solitude is not loss. It is preparation. It is strategic. It cuts through the noise. It strengthens faith. It exposes weaknesses so they can be transformed into strength. Solitude is like the womb of a new life. Dark, silent, but full of spiritual gestation. You may be experiencing a period of solitude right now. Perhaps you feel forgotten, unsupported, misunderstood. But know this moment is sacred. It is precisely here that you can dive deeper into self-knowledge and connection with the divine source. In solitude, you discover who you truly are, without masks. In solitude, you understand your purpose. In solitude, your energy is renewed. Don't fight loneliness. Embrace it. Use it. Let it be your school. The elect were never called to walk in crowds. They are trained in silence to then impact crowds. If you feel alone, it's because you're in training. If you've been set apart, it's because God has something specific for you. Solitude is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of election. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to distance themselves from you for no apparent reason? Perhaps you've noticed strange looks, hidden comments, or even rejection from people who, in theory, had nothing against you. This happens because the chosen ones carry a unique energy, a presence that cannot be explained by logic alone. The energy of the chosen ones is the fruit of a direct connection with the divine source. It emanates from within, even when you're not trying. It's a light that cannot be hidden, a vibration that cannot be silenced. And this energy, although a blessing, often awakens fear, envy, and resistance in others. Understand one thing: your light doesn't bother you because you do something wrong, but because it reveals what others try to hide. People who aren't prepared to deal with their own darkness feel threatened by those who carry light. And that's why, so often, you'll be rejected for no apparent reason. It's not personal, it's spiritual. It's not about you. It's about what your presence awakens in others. The chosen ones have an energy that transforms environments. Have you ever walked into a room and felt conversations shift, glances shift, tensions rise? This isn't paranoia. It's your presence. Your energy carries something people can't ignore. For some, it's inspiration. For others, it's a threat. And here's the secret. If your presence arouses discomfort, it's because you carry a purpose that goes beyond the natural. Your life is a constant reminder that there is more, that something greater exists, that transformation is possible. When someone rejects or criticizes a chosen one, it's almost always a reflection of their own fears and insecurities. They don't reject you, they reject what you represent. You are a mirror, and the mirror often reveals truths people prefer not to see. The chosen one's energy is like a spotlight. It illuminates, but it also exposes. And not everyone is ready to be seen as they truly are. Here's the temptation. In the face of rejection, you may feel like dimming your light, hiding, fitting in to be accepted. But know this, the worst betrayal is not the one others commit against you, but the one you commit against yourself when you try to deny who you are. The elect were not called to please. They were called to transform. And transformation never happens in comfort. It always provokes resistance. Today, faced with every rejection or strange look, change your perspective. Instead of thinking, "They don't like me," declare silently, "My energy confronts them because I was called to something greater. I am light, and I will not hide." Repeat this every time you feel rejection without reason. It will remind you that you're not losing anything. You're simply confirming your identity. Don't apologize for your light. Don't diminish your energy to fit into small spaces. Allow yourself to shine. When we talk about rejection, it's impossible not to mention betrayal. It doesn't come from distant strangers. It almost always comes from those you trusted most. Close friends, family members, people to whom you've opened your heart. The pain of betrayal is unique because it breaks not only trust, but also the sense of belonging. But here's the mystery. Betrayal is never the end for the chosen. On the contrary, it is a milestone, a watershed, a clear sign that the purpose is closer to fulfillment. Consider Joseph, sold by his own brothers. The betrayal that should have destroyed him took him to Egypt, where he was trained, polished, and ultimately elevated to rule an entire nation. His brothers rejected him, but the divine source used him to save not only Egypt, but also the very family that betrayed him. The lesson is clear. Betrayal is often the bridge to purpose. Without his brother's rejection, Joseph would never have ascended to the throne. And the greatest example, Jesus and Judas. The greatest mission in human history was only possible because of a betrayal. Judas was no accident. He was a necessary part of the plan. Understand, even the Son of God was betrayed. If it happened to him, why would you think it wouldn't happen to you? Betrayal doesn't diminish who you are. It simply confirms that you are on the right path, fulfilling a calling that threatens the structures of mediocrity and darkness. The elect carry such high energy that they cannot be surrounded by falsehood for long. Betrayal, however painful, is the divine source's way of purifying your journey. It removes from your life those who cannot walk with you to the next level. Rejection reveals. Betrayal liberates, and both direct you toward purpose. You can look back and see moments when someone betrayed you and think, "I lost." But if you look closely, you'll realize that immediately after that loss, something greater began to happen. Doors opened, opportunities arose. You were forced to grow, to reinvent yourself, to expand. What seemed like defeat was actually a promotion. The betrayal was just confirmation that the old scenario was no longer sufficient for your calling. Pause this video for a moment. Then grab a piece of paper and write down 3 moments in your life when pain opened unexpected doors. 3 times when you thought all was lost, but rejection or betrayal ultimately pushed you into a new chapter. Read aloud. I was not destroyed. I was redirected. My betrayal was the bridge to my transformation. Rejection hurts. Betrayal cuts deep. loneliness weighs. But there is one virtue that separates the chosen from those who lose their way: perseverance. The divine calling has never been about ease. It has always been about endurance, about remaining steadfast even when everything seems contrary. To persevere is to trust that, even in the darkest nights, the light of the divine source continues to guide your steps. If you are one of the chosen, your life is marked by trials. Every rejection, every closed door, every broken relationship is a test. And this test is not to prove something to God. He already knows who you are. This test is to prove to yourself the strength that resides within you. Perseverance is the virtue that transforms pain into purpose, failure into learning, and rejection into growth. Perseverance is not just about enduring. It is about keeping your heart aligned. It is about continuing to pray when it seems no one is listening. It is about continuing to believe when everyone says it's not worth it. It is about continuing to walk when your legs tremble. The elect know that spiritual discipline is key. Each morning, get up and say, "I move forward, I continue. My purpose is greater than my pain." Look at the great men and women of faith. None of them achieved their purpose without perseverance. Moses endured 40 years in the desert. David waited years between the anointing and the throne. Paul endured persecution, imprisonment, and scourging to fulfill his mission. And you? Perhaps you are facing rejection at work, in your family, or in your relationships. But like them, you also carry within you the flame that never goes out. No one respects an elect who gives up at the first obstacle. Your spiritual and personal authority is born precisely from the times you decided not to stop. Every tear transformed into prayer. Every fall transformed into learning. Every wound transformed into strength. It is this perseverance that gives authority to your voice, your example, and your life. And remember to like this video, because it strengthens our mission to reach more chosen people around the world. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next chapters of this journey of transformation. Rejection weakens, betrayal destabilizes, loneliness drains. But there is a place where the chosen can always renew their strength: the divine source. While the world tries to tear you down, while voices around you tell you that you are not enough, there is a deeper, older, more powerful voice that echoes within you: the voice of God. And this voice whispers, "I will be with you every day. I am your strength, your refuge, your rock." We all have limits. There comes a time when the mind can no longer think, the body can no longer fight, and the heart can no longer feel pain. It is precisely then that the chosen discover something others do not understand. True strength does not come from the flesh, but from the Spirit. The divine source is inexhaustible. It's like a river that never runs dry, a flame that never goes out, an energy that renews even in the desert. There's a difference between those who give up and those who remain. Those who don't know the source trust only themselves. That's why they crumble when rejection comes. But the chosen ones have access to something greater. They know they don't walk alone. That's why you, even after so many falls, are still standing. That's why, despite the pain, your soul hasn't been destroyed. Because there's an invisible hand that sustains you, even when everything seems to be falling apart. Spiritual practice. Prayer as fuel. When the heart bleeds and the tears seem endless, the chosen ones don't remain silent. They transform pain into prayer. Every word raised to the divine source is like a thread that reconnects them to the greater power. And here's a secret: even rejection can be transformed into a blessing when offered in prayer. Say in your solitude, "Thank you, Lord, even through rejection, because it brings me closer to you." Unshakable faith. Faith is not believing when everything is easy. Faith is remaining steadfast when all the evidence says otherwise. It is closing your eyes to the chaos and opening the eyes of your spirit to the promise. Faith is the invisible code that connects the elect to their destiny. Remember, it's not about the size of your faith, but about the size of the God in whom you place your faith. Practical exercise. Today, set aside 10 minutes in silence. Breathe deeply. Close your eyes and visualize a light descending upon you. as if it were pure energy from the divine source. See this light healing your wounds, restoring your mind, and strengthening your heart. At the end, repeat 3 times. My strength does not come from the world. My strength comes from the divine source. Many see rejection as a sentence of failure, but the chosen ones know that it is, in fact, a sacred key. Each time you were rejected, it wasn't a sign that you were worthless. It was an invitation to discover who you truly are. When the world says, "We don't need you," the divine source whispers, "I chose you precisely because the world doesn't understand your essence." Masks falling. We live in a world that demands masks. Masks to be accepted by family, colleagues, and friends. Masks to fit into a pattern that was never meant for you. Rejection comes to shatter these masks. It removes the roles they tried to place upon you. It hurts, yes, but at the same time, it is liberating. For only when we are rejected by the system can we reconnect with our authenticity. Many of the chosen ones feel that rejection leads them to a place of solitude, and it is in this place that authenticity flourishes. Without external voices trying to shape you, you can finally hear your own soul. In solitude, you reconnect with your original energy, the one that comes directly from the divine source. This solitude is not punishment. It is a sacred field of transformation. The truth is that many rejected you not because you were weak, but because you were too strong. Your light disturbs those who chose to remain in the darkness. Your authenticity awakens insecurities in those who still live behind masks. Therefore, rejection is not a curse. It is a sign that you are living so close to your truth that you no longer fit into the old molds. Transforming pain into authenticity. Every time someone told you, "You are not enough," the divine source said, "You are my chosen one." Every time you were pointed out as strange, different, inadequate, it was a reminder that you were never called to fit in, but to stand out. The chosen ones were not made to be copies. They carry unique codes, a singular energy, a mission that no one else can fulfill. Pause the video. Take a piece of paper and write down 3 times you were rejected. Next to each moment, write the following sentence. This rejection brought me closer to my authenticity. Then, reflect. What gifts, talents, or strengths emerged in you precisely because of this rejection? Today, decide to live without fear of rejection. Decide to walk with courage, authenticity, and faith. For each time you choose to be who you truly are, you honor the energy that the divine source has placed within you. They need to free themselves from masks, but the purpose that no one can steal. There is something that differentiates the chosen from all others, the calling they carry within their souls. This calling cannot be bought, it cannot be taught in schools, it cannot be transferred. It is a purpose written even before your birth, engraved in the invisible code of your existence. The rejection you faced, from friends, family, colleagues, society, was never able to nullify that calling. Because what the divine source writes, no human hand can erase. Before coming into this world, you were separated. The world tries to convince you that you are worthless, but there was already a spiritual decree saying, "This is my chosen one. This is my chosen one." This invisible contract is what explains why you never fully fit into groups, why you always felt there was something greater for you, why even after so many rejections, a flame within you insists on not being extinguished. When you are rejected, it doesn't mean you are outside the plan. It means you are being relocated to the true plan. With each door that closed, you were led in another direction, more aligned with your destiny. With each betrayal, you were led to trust less in human opinions and more in the voice of the divine source. Rejection is not proof that you have no purpose. It is confirmation that your purpose is too great to be in the hands of others. A calling that stands the test of time. The chosen ones. They don't live only for this moment. Their calling spans generations. Consider the story of Joseph, rejected by his brothers, sold into slavery, forgotten in prison. But none of these chapters were the end of the story. Joseph's purpose lifted him to become governor in Egypt. Likewise, his purpose was not lost in the hands of rejection. It is simply being refined, strengthened, and prepared for the right time. Know that purpose grows in pain. The seed does not germinate in the light. It first dies, buried in the darkness of the earth, invisible to all. Only then does it break through the soil to blossom. Such is the purpose of the elect. It grows in secrecy, blossoms in solitude, matures in rejection. You may feel buried now, but remember, darkness is not the end. It is the environment of preparation. No one can steal what is yours. They can try to silence your voice. They can try to silence your presence. They can try to diminish your essence. But no one can steal what the divine source has already decreed for you. Those who rejected you cannot carry your calling because it does not belong to them. Your purpose is your unique mark, your destiny written in the stars, your sacred mission. Close your eyes and think, how many times have you believed that rejection had destroyed your future? Now understand, each of those times was merely proof that purpose does not depend on anyone's acceptance. It depends only on the fidelity of the divine source and your perseverance in not giving up. Rejection has two possible paths. It can be a prison or it can be a springboard. For the chosen, it is never the end. Rejection, when understood in the light of the divine source, becomes the most powerful fuel for transformation. What others use to hurt you, you use to grow. What seemed like defeat becomes strength. What seemed like abandonment becomes a bridge to authenticity. Every rejection leaves scars, sometimes deep scars. But the chosen learn to look at these scars not as signs of failure, but as testimonies of victory. Each wound is a portal that can open to greater awareness, greater strength, and greater clarity of purpose. It is like gold refined in the fire. The more the flame consumes it, the purer it becomes. So too, each time you were rejected, you became purer in authenticity, stronger in resilience, more aligned with purpose. The key is not to deny the pain, but to transform it. Denying the pain is like burying a seed and never watering it. It rots. Transforming the pain is to water that seed with faith, patience, and perseverance until it sprouts as wisdom. The chosen do not use their rejection to justify bitterness. They use it to ignite courage, confidence, and unshakable faith. The world may reject you, but the most dangerous rejection is the one you direct at yourself. Many give up not because they were rejected externally, but because they internalized that rejection and decided they were unworthy. The awakening of personal power begins when you say, even if the world rejects me, I will not reject myself. Even if many turn their backs on me, I will remain true to my own essence. This self-acceptance connects you to the energy of the divine source as it honors the work it has done within you. Transforming rejection into personal power is an act of spiritual alchemy. It is the mysterious process of taking something seemingly negative and transmuting it into light. Just as alchemists sought to transform lead into gold, the elect transform rejection into wisdom, loneliness into spiritual depth, tears into seeds of blessing. And when you go through this process, nothing can stop you. Think now of a specific rejection that has marked your life. Close your eyes and see that moment not as an end, but as a flame. Ask yourself, what strength was born within me because of this experience? You will realize that what was once pain is now part of your authority, part of your authenticity, part of your spiritual energy. Rejection often makes us feel completely alone, but the truth is that for the chosen ones, this loneliness is never permanent. Removing those who don't understand your essence creates space for new connections to blossom, authentic connections, guided by the divine source. Those who rejected you weren't destined to walk the entire journey by your side. They were part of the process, not destiny. Their rejection, however painful, served as a spiritual screening process, separating those who couldn't bear your light from those who would be strengthened by it. Everything in the universe vibrates with energy, and the chosen ones, when they remain true to their authenticity, naturally attract others who vibrate at the same frequency. It's the law of resonance. Who you are, in essence, ends up attracting people who share the same purpose, the same energy, the same faith. This means that rejection doesn't just remove people from your life. It creates space for your true tribe to emerge. There's a kind of friendship that can't be explained in words. People who arrive and immediately seem like they've always been there. They recognize something in you that the world has rejected, but which is precious to them. These friendships are not born of interest, but of purpose. They are encounters that seem guided by invisible hands. They represent relief, support, strength, and confirmation that you are not alone. Rejection also teaches you to discern who is truly on your side, who stays in your days of pain, who listens when no one else does, who prays for you when you can't even find the words. These are signs of people sent by the divine source to walk with you. And just as you had to go through the fire of rejection, these people were also refined in their own desert so they could be ready to walk alongside you. Instead of seeing rejection as an end, start seeing it as a reorganization. Those who need to leave, leave. Those who need to come, come. All of this orchestrated by a greater purpose. That's why the chosen ones don't waste time begging for love or attention from those who have rejected them. They learn to release, to let go, and to trust that the divine source will bring people aligned with their purpose. Think of those who stood by you in the moments when you felt most rejected. Realize that these are precious gifts. The tribe of the chosen ones isn't made up of multitudes. It's made up of the few, but the true ones. And each time you embrace your own light, this tribe grows. Because authenticity is like a beacon that attracts those walking in the same direction. Throughout this journey, you realize that rejection wasn't a punishment, but a preparation. It didn't mean defeat, but confirmation. You are a chosen one, called to a greater purpose. Every tear, every closed door, every betrayal that bled your soul was actually opening invisible paths, aligning you with your destiny. And now, with clarity, you can look back and see that nothing was in vain. The chosen ones don't need to prove anything to the world. Their victory is silent, but magnificent. It lies in the fact that they didn't give up, that they rose even when rejection knocked them to the ground. It lies in the perseverance that blossomed from pain, in the faith that grew even when there seemed no reason to believe. Your victory isn't just yours. It becomes a living testimony to everyone who crosses your path. What God has placed in your life, no one can steal. Rejection didn't alter the plan, it only redirected it. It shaped your character, strengthened your inner strength, and tuned you to the divine source. Now you walk more consciously, more awake, more aligned with your purpose. You no longer seek acceptance where there is no truth. You have learned to trust the sacred energy that guides you, to value your authenticity, and to transform pain into fuel for transformation. Perhaps you entered this video feeling rejected, forgotten, diminished. But now, at the end of this journey, you recognize rejection was not your sentence, it was your rebirth. You are living proof that darkness does not extinguish the light of the chosen. On the contrary, it is in the darkest night that the light shines most brightly. And when you look at yourself now, you realize you are not alone. There is a tribe, there is a mission, there is a divine presence that has never abandoned you. Repeat in your mind, or out loud if you feel it. I am a chosen one. Rejection does not define me. My strength comes from the divine source. My purpose is greater than pain. I transform rejection into victory, and I remain steadfast on the journey I was assigned. If this message touched your soul, now is the time to act. Subscribe to the channel to continue receiving messages that strengthen your spirit. Like this video so more chosen ones can find you. Comment below sharing an experience of rejection that you were able to transform into strength. Your story may inspire others. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this word today. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new messages that strengthen your spiritual journey. Remember, rejection was never the end. It was always part of the process. And now you are ready to walk in victory, authenticity, and gratitude. Because the chosen are not defeated by rejection, they are elevated by it.